Welcome to the Grassroots Army Podcast. This platform is for common sense people looking for up-to-date, accurate, and truthful information without the hot garbage corporate media bias. The power of one can lead to the power of many. You never know what small act that you may say or do that may literally change the lives of millions tomorrow. And don't you ever think that you can't make a difference, because you can. Good morning, my fellow Michiganders. Good morning, my fellow Americans. Welcome to the Grassroots Army Podcast. I am, of course, your host, Garrett Soldano, and I have some hot garbage here for all of you today. Let's make it perfectly clear, all right? I'm not concerned about all the drones. It's a concern, but that is not my primary concern here in the near future, is the drones or the possible UFOs or anything else. Yes, they need to be dealt with. Yes, pretty much. Get your daddy shotgun out and pretty much we can deal with the drones. However, this is what I'm most concerned with, is the radical left and their brainwashed cult. That's what I'm most concerned with, because I can already foresee the narrative that's being pushed out, especially with what happened with the alleged killer, Luigi, that gunned down the United CEO in the back, right? And what they're doing on social media, and even some of these corrupt politicians that's defending this guy. Unbelievable. They're already setting up the narrative like, hey, you know, you can only push people so far, and then these people have to take action, right? That's what the left, and that's what this cult is pushing out right now. By the way, different narrative when a bunch of patriotic Americans was concerned about the election that went and peacefully protested, right, on January 6th. They don't agree with that. When people are standing up against the corrupt government, they don't like that, all right? Don't take away my power. They'll do everything that they can to stop you. However, when we have clowns that do clown things in their little circus, that's okay. So let me get to the point. All right. Luigi. All right. So this guy, all kinds of information about this guy floating online. His family was allegedly very wealthy. He goes to an Ivy League school, Penn, gets educated. He has a injury in his back. You read a lot about the injury, spondylolisthesis. I have one of those. All right. Looking at his x-rays, it looked maybe like it was a grade 1 on its way to a grade 2. That's how they grade these things. I deal with a grade 2 spondylolisthesis. Mine was traumatic. Somebody speared me in the back my redshirt freshman year playing linebacker at Western Michigan University, fractured my back. It never healed. And my vertebrae is pushed forward. And that's why I am very passionate about chiropractic, because I help people with obviously a number of things, but back pain is one of them. Okay. They would cut me open and do surgery immediately if they saw my x-rays. And as you can see, I function pretty well. However, I have to limit a lot of my activity. I can't golf. I can't do the things like run anymore, because it would just beat the hell out of that area. So I make empowered decisions on what I can and can't do. I'm trying to delay surgery until I have to have it. I think one day I will. And when there's neurological compromise in my body, I probably will consider that. But right now, my function is at a very high level. My pain is manageable. I'm in chronic low back pain every day. I get it. But I just want to make sure if I go down the surgery route that it is kind of like the last kind of choice that I have. And I've exhausted all other means through nutrition, chiropractic care, physical therapy, exercising, positive mental aspect, everything that I believe in. And I'm doing just fine with my condition as of right now. This gentleman in his past wrote about his back pain and struggling with it, and the surgery and the outcome of his surgery was positive, according to some of the stuff that he put on Reddit and everything else. But they're kind of like tying things together, like he was mentally disturbed. Here's what I think happened. Okay. I think we have a privileged young man that went to a indoctrination camp called our university system and was indoctrinated. And when he had something traumatic happen into his life, or dealing with a traumatic situation, his back pain, it went down a route. I don't know. But when I read stuff about what he said, I want to bring one up. Let's analyze this. We live in a capitalist society, he wrote. I found that the medical industry responds to these keywords far more urgently than you're describing unbearable pain and how it's impacting your quality of life. He wrote that regarding his positive outcome with surgery. But by him stating that we live in a capitalist society, kind of starts planting the seed with me that he was what? An anti-capitalist? Maybe. But did he go to an indoctrination camp, the university, and was slowly dripped on and told that he was privileged because of his history and that, capitalism is bad? And then as he went through his life, he got radicalized, and then he does something stupid and evil. And this is what, I don't even want to mention her name because she's hot garbage with what she said, but this is what our girl Elizabeth said. Listen to this.
That's a trial who's allegedly killed the CEO of United Health. But you can only push people so far. And then they start to take matters into their own hands.
Yeah.
Weird how their narrative, when it's one of their own, somebody who was radicalized by the indoctrination camp, the university system, comes out, takes matters in their own hands. See how they push out that narrative that it's okay? And I've warned about this for months leading up to the Trump victory, which we did win, thank goodness, praise God, that they're not going to go away quietly. They have radicalized a lot of people who have the means to do very, very horrible things, okay? The culture of the LGBTQ plus community. Do you know, and we don't hear a lot about this in the media, well, the corporate media, because it doesn't fit their narrative, right? We can't tell the public the truth. You remember how long it took for us to get the manifesto of this person, this trans, that gunned down all those kids, right? Never got the manifesto until like a year later, right? But when it's a white person who is supposedly far right, that manifesto would get released immediately. So let's go through the history on some things. The Lakewood church shooter identified as a trans. The Iowa high school shooter identified as a rainbow activist. Nashville shooter identified as trans. The Colorado Springs shooter identified as non-binary. The Denver shooter identified as trans. Okay? We don't hear a lot about all that put together. Do you imagine if some folks who were Trump supporters consistently shot up people, what that would be portrayed as in the media? It would be nonstop. So now we have these radical leftists who have been brainwashed, not only by the corporate media, not only by social media, like commie TikTok, but also with the indoctrination camps of our public school systems and our university systems. And so what do you think they're going to do when President Trump starts going in there and making positive headway in our country as we make America great again? Like, drill, baby, drill. Do you think these folks are going to start to target those areas? Do you think these folks are going to start to target other areas? Right? I do. Along with all the horrible terrorists and domestic terrorists that are in our country now, right? The international terrorists who have come over here, and hopefully our new border czar will take care of it, and he seems motivated to do so. But that's what I'm most concerned with. If all these people that have infiltrated every single level of our lives with the indoctrination, all these people that have infiltrated every single area of our country, remember, they were busting these illegals everywhere throughout the country strategically. Now we have all these folks in your backyard. Some of them may be evil. Some of them may be horrible. Some of them may have the means to get access to things. And it doesn't necessarily have to be guns. It could be U-Hauls. It could be cars. They could steal a car. They can break in like what they're doing over here in the east side of Michigan right now with organized Venezuelan gangs, create chaos. That's what's coming our way. So you have to keep your head on a swivel, folks. That's the whole point of this podcast today is stay alert, stay alive. Don't take anything for granted. Just because President Trump has won, don't think that they're just going to pick up their ball and go home. These radicalized people are out there. They may be your neighbor. They may be in your school class. Always keep your head on a swivel and have these conversations, unfortunately, with your teenage kids who are in high school or college. They're young people. Have these conversations with them. You don't have to scare the hell out of them, but I always do scenarios with my kids on what they would do in situation, because if something ever happens, unfortunately, I want them to react and not go sit in the corner and die. I want them to fight. I want them to throw things. We do that in every scenario. We have not fun with it, but we have conversations with it. Hey, we're in church today. What do we do if somebody comes in the back and starts to shoot up the place? We're in a grocery store. What do we do? We're in a traffic jam with an active shooter shooting cars. What do you do? We just give them scenarios, because when you think and you have conversations and you kind of train for these things, you'll react the right way, because the normal person who does not have their head on a swivel, they will react in fear. They will cower. They will go in the corner, and unfortunately, they will be the victims. I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that my kids and my family and my loved ones and all of you who I care about aren't victims. We act. We don't cower. We are always on the offensive. Okay? So you have to stay alert. You have to stay alive, because these evil people are out there. If you watch the video of the United CEO, father of two, I think, walking casually outside his hotel, didn't even see it coming. The guy shot him right in the back. Okay? Now, I'm not saying that you have to be in fear, but you have to stay alert. You have to stay aware. And when you do those things, it gives you a better opportunity to do what? To stay alive. That's how I live my life. And that's how I want you to live your life. Because unfortunately, we have evil in our midst. Okay? So you have to make sure that you're doing everything that you can to protect yourselves and your family. Okay? Moving on to Michigan politics. Michigan politics, as we are all well aware of in the state of Michigan, who primarily my following is, it is a clown show, right? And what they're doing right now is lame duck. They're trying to push everything they can through the legislature before they lose control here in January. And so let's hear, because I love calling her out. Gosh dang it, I wish I would have the opportunity to debate Governor Whitmer. I would still debate Governor Whitmer. Governor Whitmer, if you are going out there for social media clicks, how great would it be if you and I got together and had a debate, right? You don't need to eat a Dorito or feed a Dorito to some crazy young lady. You can come on my show. I'll meet you anywhere, anytime, and I would love to have a conversation with you. I would. Will that happen? Probably not. But I know a lot of my followers would love an opportunity for Garrett to have a debate with Governor Whitmer. Unfortunately, that probably will never ever happen, but I'm open to it. If she called in right now, I'd have her on the show. So if you're watching Governor Whitmer, which she's not, you're more than welcome to come on the Grassroots Army podcast so we can have a conversation about your clown posse in the Michigan Dems with their lame duck session, because this is what you said back in the day about lame duck. Listen in.
Lame duck is really a dangerous time, right? There are a lot of legislators who are not accountable to the public anymore. There's not transparency or full debate.
That's her words, not mine. See, at that time, the Republicans had the legislature and they were pushing things in. And this is guilty on both sides of the party. Don't get me wrong. But here's the problem that I have. If the Michigan Democrats were actually doing a great job and Michigan was thriving and Michigan was leading the union, right, and being the powerhouse of the nation, which we all know and believe that it can be, especially people who live here, then you know what? I'd probably stay quiet about what they're doing, because I'd be like, hey, they're doing a good job. My gosh, the Michigan Democrats went in there and they turned it around. They turned around. They brought down the budget. They stopped all this needless spending. They're making our energy great again. Energy costs are going down. Farmers are thriving. People are thriving. Our public schools, they're number one in the nation, folks. We're dominating reading, and we're dominating math, and we're dominating science. And everybody's flooding to Michigan because it's a free state, and Michigan's thriving in the businesses, and businesses are opening up everywhere, and our commercial real estate's humming. The residential sector is humming. Tax revenue is just nuts because of the amount of businesses and everything else that's coming here. And we don't have to bribe businesses through the SOAR fund to come here. It is a fantastic place to live. Way to go, Michigan Dems. Unfortunately, all that, which is possible, by the way, with the right leadership, with the right executive in charge, which is possible, That's why I ran last time, because those are the things that I wanted to do. Unfortunately, we came up a little short. However, it's not a reality as of right now. It is the potential. Holy cow, Michigan should be leading the way. We should be blazing the trail. We should be that beacon of light, that beacon of hope for other states to follow and say, holy shit, look what Michigan's doing. That place is elite. I want to be like Michigan. We should have other governors and other people calling up Michigan and say, what the hell are you guys doing up there? We want to know because we want to replicate it. But it's not happening. Michigan continues to go down the path of California, which I made a statement time and time again. Don't California or Michigan, and the Michigan Dems are doing it. They're failing miserably. Why? Because they're not the old school Democrat Party. They are a radical left cult. And they're still force-feeding indoctrination down to our kids' throats. They're still force-feeding all this DEI garbage, right? They still spend, no common sense. They continue to line the pocketbooks of all the corruption. And that's on both sides of the aisle. That's on both sides of the aisle. And so that's why I've said time and time again, we don't need politicians. We don't want stair steppers. We don't want people who say they're a business person but don't have no executive experience and never ran successful businesses with tens of thousands of employees and everything else. Because when you're going to be the executive of the state, then you should have the executive experience. You should have the business experience, not say that you have it, but you actually done it, and it can be tracked to lead Michigan into where it needs to be. That's why I am going to be supporting an executive. And as of right now, and I'm going to come out and say it, because I spent a lot of time with this young man, and he is young, even though he may disagree with that comment, that the only person as of right now that I see on the Republican side is Kevin Rinke. That's it. And he hasn't announced that he may or may not run. He's thinking about it. I hope he runs, because as of right now, that's the only person that I see qualified to be the executive of this state. Everyone else whose name's been thrown out there, they're not qualified. They're not. I'm sorry. The proof is in the pudding. If I'm wrong, prove it to me. Show me their past. Show me their executive experience. Show me their business experience. Not a sound bite, but actually what they did. They actually went into the business, made it competitive, sold the business, did it again, replicated it, right? Show me that experience. I want to see it. And if you have that experience and you want to run for governor, then I would like to have you on the show and talk about it, because I spent a lot of hours with Kevin Rinke while we were on the road campaigning for President Trump during the Grassroots Army tour. I got to know him, got to hear his policy. And I'm proud to say that I call him a friend. We have evolved our relationship into friendship, and I support him. And if he runs, he will have my 100% support, because I firmly believe in his policies and what he's trying to do, and he has the experience. Okay? As of right now, that's what we need. We don't need a social media influencer. We don't want somebody with limited business experience, because Michigan's at that point in time where we're in trouble. We're in trouble, folks. We are a stone throw away from going down the wrong path in our state where we may never, ever recover. And so I hope he wins. I don't know if he is or is not, but I hope he does. But everyone else, as of right now, that I'm seeing who is being considered, it's not the right person. And now that it's a three-way race with Dugan in there, a Republican should win. If it's a three-way race, a Democrat, Republican, and Dugan, as the independent, a Republican will win. If it's a two-way race, then we better have somebody with some chops, with some executive experience that can meet the people in the middle with compromise, because that's what we need. We don't need a radical right person, right, that is not going to be willing to negotiate and compromise on some of the issues, and not all the issues, but some of them, to bring folks in the middle. That's what we need. We need someone who's willing to do just that. And as of right now, Kevin Rinke, if he decides to run, you'll have my support, okay? Unless somebody else comes better, and Kevin will tell you this too. I've been watching Kevin's podcast, and he said time and time again that, hey, if somebody else runs that's more qualified, I'll sit on the sidelines, and I believe him. But as of right now, there's not. So we're going to see how that transpires. But as of right now, I don't see anyone else with the qualifications, because what I'm seeing in the state of Michigan right now, especially under Democrat leadership, it's not going well, and we all can feel that. Because I want to highlight what Donnie Detroit said on X. I've been following this guy. He says a lot of good things. Because I made that kind of statement today that we need an executive. He said, I could not agree more. Take one look at all these laws adverse to business Democrats are passing, and it's clear not one of them has ever run a business. We need a GOP candidate with executive leadership experience. Whitmer has ruled with a my way or highway mentality. He's spot on, because she lacks the leadership skills to gain any consensus. This causes more division and leads to an increasingly adversarial mentality in Michigan's legislature. The political parties need to work together to solve problems. This destructive partisanship on display in the lame duck session isn't helping the average guy on the street. He's spot on. He is spot on with that analysis, okay? And that's what Michigan needs right now, is an executive, not someone who is using this as a stepping stone, not a career politician, right? We don't need any of that. Not a social media influencer, not a pundit. We need an executive with experience to bring some common sense back to Michigan. So, Kevin Rinke, if you're watching, I hope you run, brother. I really do. Or someone else more qualified, please stand up. If Kevin doesn't run, holy hell, I may even throw my hat back in the ring. I'm just kidding. Not this cycle, folks. But I considered it. Holy cow, I did consider it. Very, very shortly. But we'll see. You never know. If you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. But if Kevin Rinke doesn't run, I'll consider it a little bit. How about that? That'll get everybody in a fray. Everybody will start attacking me again. So I'll put that out there today. There is a possibility Garrett might run for governor. Oh my gosh, here we go. The grassroots army's in full effect. We'll see, folks. We'll see. But keep your head on a swivel, all right? Let's keep having conversation. Keep calling out the clown show, hot garbage. I'll continue to do my part in bringing you everything that I got every single day, because we need to bring a new vision to the state of Michigan. There's no doubt about it. And I know all of you who live in Michigan would agree with me 100%. Okay? Have a great day. God bless you. God bless the state of Michigan. Of course, and always, God bless these United States. Until next time.